Hey there, I have the wonderful Alexa Bigwarfe here with me. Hey Alexa, how are you?
Hello, I am so good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thanks so much for doing this. Guys, if you've never heard of Alexa before, Alexa is a USA Today bestselling author, publisher, and founder and CEO of Write, Publish, Sell. She also owns three hybrid publishing houses, which praise to you, because that's a lot of work, girl. Kate Biggie Press, Chrysalis Press, and Purple Butterfly Press, which is actually her children's book publishing company. And she enjoys working with authors across all different capacities. So we're really excited to have her here. So let's dive in and let's talk about children's books, because you work with a range. You work with, adult
Mhm.
fiction, all the things. So what makes publishing children's books so special?
It's interesting because I started off just a little bit of our background. Our first imprint. I started off basically helping self-publishing assist, and as I was getting all of these different books in, and more people were coming to me, I wanted to kind of pull some in under and have a little bit more long-term involvement with the books that I saw that I wanted to be involved. So since the first one was on grief and loss, which was a book that I co-authored with a bunch of other parents who had lost children. That's kind of the way that we went. We had grief, inspiration, transformation. So transformational nonfiction, all of that. As time went on, I just kept having people ask about children's books and how do I do a children's books. And I had one of the co-authors of Sunshine After the Storm, that original first book, decided to do a children's book, and she came to me and she was like, what do you know about this? And I was like, okay, I'm going to figure it out. So I did a bunch of research for her, and she wound up going with a company, a big kind of like self-publishing assist slash hybrid publisher, large name company. And in that process, I started to see, wow, there's really a significant difference in a nonfiction book and a children's book, from just like the editing process and the story development, because you have so few words, especially for the children's picture books, really getting that whole story arc in 800 words, which surprisingly so few authors really understand word count in a children's picture book. And that's a big thing to understand, is how many words you should or shouldn't have in a book, and then finding a good illustrator and what illustrations make sense and don't make sense. And we've, all the things. So basically I set to work to learn. And then a friend of mine had a friend who wrote a children's picture book, and she was like, I want to send you her manuscript. And I saw the book, she sent it to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have this book. I have to have it. It's called Princess Monroe and Her Happily Ever After. And it's about this spunky biracial princess who, like, her queen mom wants her to find a prince and get married. And she's like, heck no, I have too much stuff to do. I want to do this and that. And so I was like, okay, I talked to the author and I was like, I've never published a children's book before, but I would love to publish yours, and I'd love to start a company around it. And are you in? And she's like, let's do it. So we did. And Purple Butterfly Press was born in September of 2018 with Princess Monroe. So I'll pause there for.
Yeah, I love that. And I also love that you really highlighted that it is different and there are so much that you have to learn. That's why we post summits like this, but also why we exist. But people don't realize that children's books have such rules and requirements. So
Yes.
yeah, we've been
Specific
chatting a lot
page
about.
counts, specific word counts, specific requirements on spread, the types of story arc that you're supposed to. I mean, there's really so much that goes into it, and a lot of people just think, I have this idea for a children's book, I want to sit down and I want to write it, and then they come up with 2,000 words, and you're like, I want to make this a picture book, and you're like, no, no, no.
Yeah, and they're like, oh no, it's done. Let's go get an illustrator. And you're like, no.
No. And the illustrations matter so much. And I'm going to tell you, I've spent a lot of time the last, what has it been now? Almost 6 years, 5-ish years, really studying children's books. I even went to the Bologna Book Fair in Italy. Not going to lie, there was a good reason, I was, tempted by the fact that it was in Italy, but just to go and see what's happening in the trade, and learned about like licensing and foreign rights, and just seeing the incredible books that are out there. And it really made me realize, like, what a competitive market it is for children's books,